Imagine preparing for a dive that very few people in the world have ever attempted. A place so dangerous, so unpredictable, that even experienced divers speak about it in whispers. A labyrinth hidden beneath the earth, filled with narrow passages, sudden drops, and absolute darkness. A place where one mistake can mean there is no way back. Now imagine 5 elite divers entering that darkness and never coming out. Days later, search teams would recover only one thing: a damaged underwater camera. Inside it were fragments of footage, the last moments before everything went wrong. This is the story of the 5 divers who entered a forbidden cave system, and the mystery that still surrounds what happened deep underground. The expedition began like many others among experienced cave divers. These were not amateurs looking for adventure. Cave diving is one of the most dangerous activities in the world, and the people who attempt it train for years before entering complex underwater systems. Every dive is carefully planned. Equipment is checked repeatedly. Routes are studied in advance. The 5 divers involved in this expedition were considered highly skilled. They had experience exploring underwater cave systems, and they understood the risks better than most people. But even for them, the cave they planned to explore carried a reputation that made many divers hesitate. It was known among local diving communities as a forbidden system, not because it was illegal to enter, but because of how dangerous it was. The entrance led into a long network of submerged tunnels carved through limestone rock over thousands of years. Once inside, divers would face tight passages, sudden changes in depth, clouds of fine sediment that could instantly blind them, and a maze of tunnels where losing the correct path could easily become fatal. But that danger was also what attracted explorers. The deeper they went, the more unknown territory they could map. For experienced divers, discovering new passages inside underwater caves was one of the greatest challenges in the sport. On the day of the dive, the group prepared their equipment carefully. Each diver carried specialized gear designed specifically for cave environments: multiple tanks, backup regulators, powerful underwater lights, guideline reels that would help them navigate their way back to the entrance. The guideline was the most important tool. Inside underwater caves, visibility can vanish in seconds. One accidental movement can stir up layers of fine sediment on the cave floor. When that happens, the water turns into a thick cloud where even a powerful flashlight cannot penetrate more than a few inches. In that moment, the only way out is the guideline, a thin rope that divers place along their route so they can follow it back to safety. Without that line, a diver can become completely lost. The 5 divers entered the cave system one after another, disappearing beneath the dark water. At first, everything seemed normal. The early passages were familiar to them, wide enough to swim through comfortably, with clear water and stable rock formations surrounding them. Their lights cut through the darkness as they moved deeper underground. For a while, the dive progressed exactly as planned. The divers slowly extended their guideline deeper into the cave, attaching it carefully to rock formations along the way. Every turn was recorded, every new passage carefully documented. But the deeper they traveled, the more complicated the cave system became. Passages split into multiple directions. Some tunnels narrowed to the point where divers had to remove equipment and push tanks ahead of them before squeezing through the rock. The water grew colder, the walls closer. At some point during the dive, something began to go wrong. Investigators would later try to reconstruct what happened using fragments of footage recovered from the damaged camera. The images were grainy, distorted by darkness and floating particles in the water. But certain details were clear enough to raise disturbing questions. At first, the footage showed normal cave diving procedures. Divers moving slowly through narrow passages, carefully placing guideline markers. Communication signals exchanged through hand gestures and light movements. Then the images changed. The camera began shaking slightly. Particles filled the water. Visibility dropped dramatically. This suggested that sediment from the cave floor had been disturbed, something divers call a silt-out. When a silt-out occurs, the cave becomes instantly disorienting. Even a small movement can send clouds of fine particles into the water, turning everything into a thick brown fog. In that moment, the only reliable way to navigate is by following the guideline with your hands. But the footage revealed something even more alarming. At one point, the camera light illuminated the guideline, and then suddenly lost it. The line had either snapped, been dislodged, or become buried beneath sediment. For cave divers, losing the guideline is one of the most dangerous situations imaginable. Without it, every direction looks the same, every tunnel becomes a possible dead end, and every second consumes precious oxygen. The camera footage became increasingly chaotic. The beam of light moved rapidly across the cave walls. The diver holding the camera appeared to be searching desperately for the line. At times, shapes of other divers appeared briefly in the darkness, then vanished again. Clouds of sediment thickened until the water looked almost solid. And then, in the final seconds of recorded footage, the camera captured something that investigators would debate for years. A diver's light flashed rapidly in the distance, then it disappeared completely. The recording ended shortly after. When the group failed to return from their dive, concern quickly spread among the diving community. Cave divers understand that if a team does not emerge on schedule, something has almost certainly gone wrong. Rescue teams were organized and entered the cave system carefully, but cave rescues are extremely dangerous operations. Rescuers must navigate the same hazardous tunnels that trapped the original divers, often under worse conditions. As search teams moved deeper into the cave, they encountered the same problem visible in the footage. The water was filled with thick sediment. Visibility was almost zero. Sections of the guideline had become tangled or broken. Navigating the tunnels required extreme caution. Eventually, rescuers found the damaged underwater camera lodged between rocks along the cave wall. But there was no sign of the divers, no tanks, no bodies, nothing. It was as if the cave had swallowed them. The camera's memory card contained only fragments of video, short sequences that investigators later analyzed frame by frame. But even after careful examination, the footage never revealed exactly what happened. Several theories have been proposed over the years. One possibility is that a sudden silt-out caused the divers to lose the guideline, leaving them unable to find their way back through the complex tunnel system. In the darkness and confusion, they may have entered the wrong passage and become trapped in a section of the cave with no exit. Another theory suggests that part of the cave ceiling may have collapsed, blocking their path and forcing them deeper into the system as they searched for another route. There is also the possibility that equipment failure played a role. In cave diving, even small technical problems can escalate rapidly when combined with disorientation and limited air supply. But the most disturbing part of the mystery is what investigators never found. No final location. No clear evidence of what direction the divers took after losing the guideline. Just empty tunnels stretching deeper into the earth. Cave systems like this can extend for kilometers, branching into countless hidden chambers and passages that have never been fully mapped. Some experts believe the divers may still lie somewhere deep within those tunnels, far beyond the areas explored by rescue teams. Others believe powerful underground currents may have carried them into sections of the cave that remain inaccessible. Either way, the truth remains hidden in the darkness beneath the earth. Among cave divers, the story of the 5 missing explorers has become a warning repeated to every new generation entering the sport. Inside underwater caves, the environment is completely unforgiving. There is no direct path to the surface, no natural light, no room for error. And once you lose the way out, panic can spread faster than the remaining oxygen in your tanks. The cave does not care how experienced you are. It does not care how carefully you plan the dive. In that silent underwater labyrinth, the smallest mistake can become the last one you ever make. And somewhere in that maze of flooded tunnels, beyond the reach of light and air, the mystery of the 5 divers still waits in the darkness. Perhaps one day explorers will reach the hidden chamber where the truth lies. But until then, the only evidence of what happened